Alright, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host, Josh, and this is part 4 of our Path to Truth Let's Play of The Letterer. When we last left off, we had started Ash's chapter here and got about a little over halfway through, probably. And we've just sort of had we've had the gang come back together, we had a freak out at the house with the cabinet like we always do, and now we're here in the morning. And the chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them. Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella, just as they've entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salamo, we've decided to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us has gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at them right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella's gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks, something funny or amusing probably, because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way they're acting now. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. We're about to have a big fight, aren't we? Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. Yep, okay. Whatever the sweet sauce they drizzled over the pork wanabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sour-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. The rest of them appear to be of the same mind, too. Soon enough, they also start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forego. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're going to have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty gardens on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work, the things we've taken for granted. Now we're realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to. If we ever free ourselves from this damn curse, I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
I'm stumped. It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look at me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game and still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we've had enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not-so-pleasant kind of fire.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. No, we're safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella.
Well, it's the first thing I want to do, Becca.
Not to a stupid chain letter. You were too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
I didn't do it on purpose. Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have...
Hey, you two. None of us want to die to this.
Wow, speak for
Calm
yourself,
down.
Zach.
We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it, and both you and Ashton...
So you're the one to blame.
It doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
And you're not?
I didn't say that. Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
But why are you even bothering blaming
I
anyone?
tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one? You're just as responsible for this as I am.
So now, you're throwing it back at us. We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for I don't know, petty squabbles.
Well, it's nice that this time Ash just gets to kind of lay back and just let it
If
happen.
you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
Oh no, Zach! Don't stop her! Let her say it! I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already.
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
All right, that's enough. Everyone, shut up.
I'm gonna punch the next person who speaks. They all falter into silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when any time, anywhere, she might get to one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she could pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth, that out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to them. This is more their forte than mine, keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to
If we all
cope?
want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. Not even sure who I'm angry at. The ghost, them, maybe myself for being this useless? Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit, they're still counting on me. In spite of my failures, every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend, it's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one, they follow me and get in the car. It's in the concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, a heavy gift, their unwavering trust. Yet it is one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they are the only ones I have left. Alright, so we head to the bar with G to kind of cool off for the afternoon, make some plans. We try to sort of lay things out on G, but G doesn't listen to us. We talk with Zach, and I'd feel better if I don't have to worry about you, Zach. So we told Zach that we're going to go to the mansion, and then Zach kind of is okay with it. The sun hangs lower when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He's always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on week start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover, after all, even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. With the kind of danger we're in, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before sleep completely fades from my mind.
Something wrong, G?
G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it, despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finished wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. Feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Another question forms in my head along with a small, confused frown. But before a single syllable slipped past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. And the sound of it, Piers woke up on the wrong side of the bed, is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there.
But we don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way. We have to go there. If you'll just...
Isabella? No.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out, or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over after all of us has gotten a decent rest. Should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zach and I. They can't just bro it out like two bros, you know? Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even G appears to understand it. In spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw 2 girls out of this place over a petty argument.
My mustache couldn't handle that. It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod
Sorry about
nevertheless.
this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. Part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knows. Once this is over, I should probably find him some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other's childlike demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own way. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite a mood when she's crossed. Can't speak for Isabella, I rarely ever see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. The way she's glaring up at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled on one corner of the table they occupy. A conversation that turns sour sometime after a late lunch then. Good thing they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. Because in the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily, we both do, though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this letter ghost everything.
And then you
blaming
stole
me
my
again.
boyfriend!
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess.
You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you! If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish.
I'm the one who's selfish, yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
I'm sorry, but Becca is almost always the person in the more of the wrong of the situation to my mind.
You know why I had to come here. My dad.
Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Jesus, Becca. Maybe I should have stepped in earlier, you think, Ash? Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca had slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I've entered the area. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence, while Isabella stands, unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere of the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break until the ones at its center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there's always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see sometimes, it's what's gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When if nothing else, people tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows when to withdraw, when a struggle turns useless. A kind of awareness almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit, in fast, rigid steps, away from the hurt and painful words they've let fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in, and the last moment I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steadying grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. However, that doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. I mean, even if I didn't already like Isabella way more and want Ash and Isabella to work out as a relationship. If I just look at this like logically as an argument, like Isabella is more in the right generally, and also has said almost nothing mean to Rebecca, whereas Rebecca really insulted Isabella just now. So yeah, I'm gonna take Isabella's side.
Okay.
Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Then, without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair Isabella's just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose, breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, though, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down to a tight frown. I cross my arm in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything yet, not until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes while we stare each other down, but eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Okay, you were a total dick
Did
just
you
now.
really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do is stop her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if Rebecca's main goal was to get her to not go to the mansion, like, fine. And I would agree with that. Kind of. But, like, that was the worst possible way to go about it.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point. But please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca likes to stay silent, or at least it's how it seems when a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes, one that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person we once were. And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. A lull has descended the main lounge once I return. G's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out instead of in. By the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon, these people too will be gone. The whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of strings and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, in one of the tables set right beside the windows. She usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. Just want to make sure. Yeah, okay. Late afternoon, light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pooling on the surface of the table, where both her arms rest. In her hand, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. At this moment, G comes over and grabs it, like, "Oh, what's this then? Oh no!" Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones, the ones where she's still too quiet. A complete opposite of her usual self. But it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude, but the short few seconds of wordless silence when the softest sighs and the slightest movements sing louder. The smallest minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me, annoyed, and just like that, all of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far from angry. A bit upset, maybe. Who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me, at least compared to every other person I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick and coax her out of this
Come
mood.
on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if I've just told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now. She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
But I want to talk, and that's what really matters. Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like, what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything is already gone to shit. I'd like at least this one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour, talking, joking, with her short, feeble responses and banter that never goes anywhere. But it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause. And then she frowns as realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on a grimace. Hilarious! Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
You're awful, and I really hate you. Just leave.
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon, I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care, until only a familiar warmth lingers, once both our amusement ebbs away. Somehow, with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little.
Okay.
You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill, with the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead by now. Seeing it directed my way, it takes only a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. You messed up, Ash! Never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it's intensified like the brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut, shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet. But when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine, that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and an expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy it was for her to wear her heart on her sleeve. How she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us. Trivial, little things with worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early or because there's never really a proper time. For now, though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles, until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
See, not really. It was really Rebecca who said the mean things. I don't know, maybe I need to listen to that again. Maybe I did ignore mean things that Isabella said, but I feel like not much. The corners of her mouth quirks up, almost as if she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry. She can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
You think?
Because Zach
What?
won't be with us anymore.
What?
He
What? What just happened? Zach, what happened to Zach? Is Zach just dead? Oh, what a weird error. Because you're one of the few people she likes.
She won't stay angry for long. I can vouch for it.
Also, what I just said about Zach, just ignore that. She has a point, though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there.
Yeah, but going to the mansion's crazy. Who would do
If I
that?
go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point I will always agree with, no matter how desperate I am. It's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I've told Zach, who's rest in peace. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe. It's dangerous, right? If we... I can't let you do that seems a little more... Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so... Alright, this is a different context, but I'm pretty sure last time... Well... God. Ah! How are we doing on our relationship? Oh, God. Oh, I'm so scared. Listen. Listen. Shut up. I can't let you do that. It's dangerous. I think we gotta say I can't let you do that. Because to say that we care about her, right? Right?
I can't let you do that, Belle.
Yes. Okay, thank God. Woo!
Ash, the people living in that place now. They were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are.
I know, but it's risky. It's dangerous. We don't know what you might find in there. Or if you'll even find anything. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do? For all we know, it might be a dead end. It's not worth it. To put yourself in harm's way like that.
She offers no response, not even a form of resistance, no further argument like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin, till the air in the whole room grows heavy. In front of her, her hands still stays curled up, like it's holding onto everything she wishes to say but can't. I'd like to think that yes, to some extent she understands, even if she does not entirely agree with me. The dilemma is clear in her. Otherwise, her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set to it, her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, or her hand would no longer be balled into fists. She wouldn't have pushed that argument, she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Instead, she simply offers a nod, and acquiesce, and in a moment of boldness, perhaps insolence, I reach out for her, taking her clenched fists in mine and drawing them closer to me. She sucks in a breath, soft and sharp, but doesn't say anything, merely watching as both my hands cradle hers. Cautious, mindful, as if it's the most precious thing I've held. Then again, maybe it is. Along with everything I've yet to convey.
Stop that.
Surprisingly, although the gesture has startled her, she yields, allows a touch that is far too familiar and more than what I'm willing to give most.
You're going to hurt yourself if you keep doing that.
Gently, I unfurl her fingers, flattening out each digit against my palms. Her nails have already created small dents on her skin, for how tightly she has held it close. A little more and she would have drawn blood. Deep as it is, smoothing a thumb over the tiny marks does nothing. But it's a small gesture we both find comfort in amidst this chaos, and all at once the tension lifts. Her expression softens, the lines of her shoulders ease, and it is only after her lips curve up in a faint smile that I let go, giving her hand one last squeeze before returning it to her. Part of me wants to tell her, admits that it's exactly what I'm planning tonight. What good will it do, though? I've already told Zach. One person is enough. Rest in peace, Zach. Or simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. It's best that I simply leave it as it is for now. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room, its cadence slow and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eyes. Their fights never did last long.
Belle, can we talk alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and I'm all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of relationship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zach. I'm the outsider. They don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse and flashing Isabella a quick, knowing smile, I beat a hasty exit of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over, for the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory, one that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Alright, so we head out. Letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay it no mind as I hurry towards my car. I nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either, but I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by the bro Z-Man said, but when have I ever listened to that guy? Regardless of how generous that is, each second's just as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does, in the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Oh, interesting. I was not expecting it to still be Rebecca. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. So she's still gonna confess? As much as this pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other, hell, we practically grew up together, but that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad that she stuck with me, even through the toughest moments, even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it.
Rebecca, I
draw on a breath, ragged, unsure. Uncertain how and which words to put together so it will hurt her less, so the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or scar. But before I can even string 2 phrases together, she lifts a hand to my mouth and silences me. A smile's on her face, kinder than every single one I've seen from her so far. It's nice to see it on her. It suits her more than the glares or the frowns. But at the same time, it only serves to baffle me.
You don't have to answer me.
Yeah, but you should... I should...
No, I mean, you don't need to.
Okay, now I'm really confused. One moment you're saying you've been in love with me since secondary, now you're telling me to shut up?
That's what love is,
If you want to interpret it like that, all right.
No, really. Some explanation would be nice, Becca, because a lot of things are going on right now, and I'm afraid I can't catch up. Especially with this curveball you just threw.
It means what it means, Ashton. You don't need to answer me. I don't really need to hear it anymore. It's not that I don't want to. Believe me, if I were the same person I was before this whole thing happened to us, I'd be elated. Excited even. But, like I said, I also realized some things. Understood myself more.
I wonder if this is because of the choices we made in Rebecca's chapter.
Ash, I did love you. Ever since we were kids, all those times you defended me from bullies. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even after this. But at the end of the day, once you take a closer look at everything, it also turned me into a really selfish person. When you think about it, maybe the Ashton I loved isn't the one standing in front of me right now.
Because that person's kind of a douche.
Maybe all this time, I'm still clinging on to that aloof kid I met 17 years ago. I didn't even consider that you have a mind of your own. That one day, it won't just be the two of us.
Good for you, Becca. Wow.
That you'll find someone else and it won't be me.
I'm sorry, Becca.
I'm not even sure what I'm apologizing for. That I can't return her feelings? or because I'm somehow holding myself responsible for this, even if up until now I have no idea how she felt. Regardless, she continues to smile through all of it.
It's not your fault. Don't say that. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know. So I can finally let this whole thing go. One question though. Are you going to tell her?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Tell what to who?
I pause, frowning, a brief moment of doubt, while I try to figure out what she's talking about all of a sudden. When it finally sinks in, though, my bewilderment hastily gives way to utter embarrassment.
Oh, shit.
Heat abruptly crawls up my face, no matter my efforts to keep it down. In the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what else she'll
Did you
see in
really
it.
think no one would notice?
Was it that obvious?
It was surprisingly easy to tell. But that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone.
Fuck, who else knows?
I think Zach suspects.
Shit.
You're embarrassingly lame when you're trying too hard. It's almost painful to watch. Don't worry. With your terrible way of flirting, and knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle has no idea, even now. Not even a clue.
Even after your, like, quite overwrought, like, romantic moment you had, with her just a couple minutes ago.
Harsh, Rebecca. Really harsh. I could use a vote of confidence, you know.
She laughs loud, the kind that's free of any burden, ringing bell. Okay, no, I thought maybe we'd seen this before, which we have, but you know, whatever. With it over, the awkward atmosphere lifts at last. There is only that camaraderie we've shared since meeting in the classroom 17 years ago.
I'm serious though. Tell her, and if you ever make her cry, I'll hit you with every damn history book I have on my shelf. Clear?
No,
Clear.
ma'am.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push, with the force only heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unawares by the gesture, for a few moments I fight for purchase against my car's trunk, bracing my hand on its smooth surface. When I look up, with a string of reprimands ready at the tip of my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. There's a small skip in her steps, while the breeze carries in the light tune she's whistling. On a whim, I let its notes be the last thing I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. It sounds like a new beginning, more than anything. Another reason to be optimistic. Alright, well that's nice. I like that quite a bit. Alright, so we've made our way to the mansion. We're gonna fall into the little dungeon here. Alright, and we are going to have to pick up here and truly finish Ash's chapter, move into Luke's next time. Until then, folks, this has been Downstage Gaming. I have been your host, Josh, and I will catch you all next time.